The humble boy bought the weakest horse at the auction, ignored by everyone because no one believed it was worth anything. Days later, when the most powerful man in the north stepped out of his car and fixed his gaze on the animal, his hands began to tremble. As he recognized what stood before him, the murmurs stopped, faces turned pale, and silence took over the place. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The hammer hit the wood with a bang. Sold. For $1 to the young man in the back. Caleb Walker's heart was beating fast. He walked forward on legs that felt shaky. All the other men at the animal auction moved aside. They looked at him with pity or just shook their heads. He handed his last single-dollar bill to the man at the table. "You sure about this, son?" the man asked, not taking the money yet. "That horse is more trouble than he's worth. He won't even lift his head." Caleb looked at the pen. The Palomino horse stood alone. Its golden coat was dull with dirt. Every rib showed under its skin. Its head hung down, eyes closed. It did not care about the noise or the people. "I'm sure," Caleb said, his voice quiet but firm. He pushed the dollar across the table. The man took it with a shrug. "He's all yours. Good luck." Caleb approached the pen. He opened the gate and stepped inside. The horse did not move. Caleb stood still for a long minute. He did not reach out to touch him. "Okay," Caleb whispered, more to himself than the horse. "Let's go home." The drive back to his family's farm was slow. The old truck pulled the rickety trailer carefully over the bumpy roads. Caleb kept looking in the mirror. He could see the horse standing still, bracing against the movement. His parents were on the front porch when he pulled in. His mother, Mary, wiped her hands on her apron. His father, John, stood up slowly, his face tired. "Caleb, what's all this?" his father asked. Caleb got out of the truck. "I bought a horse." His mother came down the steps. She looked into the trailer. Her hand went to her mouth. "Oh, Caleb, he's so thin." "I know," Caleb said. "No one else wanted him. He cost $1. His father walked over. He looked at the horse, then at his son's hopeful face. He let out a long breath. "Caleb, you know we can't afford another mouth to feed. The vet bills alone." "I'll take care of him," Caleb said quickly. "I'll use my money from fixing fences for the Millers. I'll do extra work. He won't cost you anything. I promise." His parents looked at each other. The farm was struggling. The bank was calling. Caleb saw the worry in their eyes. "Please," Caleb said, his voice barely a whisper. "He just needs a chance." His father looked at the horse again. He nodded once, a short, slow movement. "All right, but he's your responsibility. 100%. A smile broke across Caleb's face. "Yes, sir. Thank you." It took a long time to get the horse out of the trailer. He was weak and scared. Caleb did not pull on the rope. He just waited, talking in a soft, steady voice. "Easy now, just one step. The ground is right here. You're okay." Finally, the horse stepped onto the dirt of the driveway. He lifted his head a little, just for a second, sniffing the air. "Let's get you settled," Caleb said. He led the horse to the old barn. He put him in a clean stall with fresh hay. He filled a bucket with cool water. The horse did not drink. He just stood there. Caleb got a brush and a soft cloth. He started at the horse's neck, brushing away the dirt in gentle strokes. He talked the whole time. "My name is Caleb. This is our farm. We grow wheat. Over there is the big field. You're safe here. No one will hurt you." For an hour, Caleb brushed and talked. Slowly, the dirt came off, showing patches of gold hair. The horse began to relax. His ears twitched, listening to Caleb's voice. Caleb pulled an apple from his pocket. He held it flat on his palm. The horse sniffed it. Then, his lips moved, and he took the apple. The crunch was loud in the quiet barn. "See? That's better," Caleb said, smiling. He kept working until the horse's coat was clean. He checked his hooves. He gave him more hay. The horse finally took a long drink of water. "You need a name," Caleb said, leaning on the stall door. The evening sun was coming through the barn window. A beam of light fell across the horse, making his drying coat shine. "How about Sonny? Because you're going to shine bright again." The horse, Sonny, looked at him. For the first time, his big brown eye met Caleb's. He didn't look away. That night, after dinner, Caleb went back to the barn. He sat on a stool next to Sonny's stall. He told him about his day, about the sky, about his dream of riding through the fields when he was strong and healthy. "We'll go all the way to the creek," Caleb whispered. "You'll like it there." Sonny listened, his head low and calm. He took another piece of apple from Caleb's hand. Caleb looked at his friend. The fear was gone from the horse's eyes. A quiet peace had taken its place. For the first time in a long time, Caleb felt the same peace in his own heart. The farm's troubles felt far away. Here in the barn with Sonny, everything felt possible. The future was just the two of them, under the big Montana sky. Weeks passed. The thin, sad horse from the auction was gone. Sonny now stood in the paddock with his head high, watching Caleb mend a fence post. His coat was a bright gold, shiny in the morning sun. He was still lean, but the bones no longer poked through his skin. Muscle was building over his ribs and shoulders. Caleb dropped a fresh apple into the feed bucket. Sonny walked over, not running, but with a calm, steady purpose. He nudged Caleb's shoulder with his nose before eating. "You're pushy today," Caleb said, smiling. He rubbed the white stripe on Sonny's forehead. From the farmhouse porch, Caleb's mother watched. She held 2 mugs of coffee. "He looks like a different animal," she called out. Caleb walked over and took one of the mugs. "He just needed some food and quiet." "And you," his mother said. "He follows you like a shadow." They stood in comfortable silence, watching Sonny. The peace of the moment was broken by the low rumble of a truck coming up the main road. It was not the old feed truck. It was not a neighbor's vehicle. This truck was big and new, the color of polished coal. It turned off the county road and onto their long, dirt driveway. Dust plumed behind its perfect tires. "Who's that?" Mary asked, her voice tight. "I don't know," Caleb said. He set his mug down on the porch step. The black truck rolled to a stop near the house. The engine shut off. The silence that followed felt heavy. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. He was tall. He wore a suit the same dark gray as a storm cloud. His shoes were black and clean, already dusted with Montana's red dirt. His hair was silver, cut very short. He did not look like anyone from Billings. The man closed the door and looked around. His eyes moved over the farmhouse, the old barn, the fields. They stopped on the paddock. They stopped on Sonny. The man's whole body went still. His calm face changed. His mouth opened a little. His eyes grew wide. He took one step forward, then another, walking toward the fence line like he was in a dream. Caleb moved quickly, putting himself between the stranger and Sonny's paddock. "Can I help you?" he asked. The man did not look at Caleb. He stared at the horse. He pointed a finger, his hand trembling just a little. "That horse," the man said. His voice was deep and smooth, but it shook. "That horse is mine." Caleb felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "No, sir, that's my horse. His name is Sonny." Finally, the man looked at Caleb. His shock was gone, replaced by a cool, hard expression. "You have something that belongs to me. That animal is my property." Caleb's father, John, walked out of the barn, wiping grease from his hands. "What's going on here?" The man turned. He took a breath and seemed to grow taller. "My name is Silas Hawthorne. I own Hawthorne AgriCorp in Chicago. That Palomino in your paddock is not a farm horse. He is a thoroughbred racehorse. He was stolen from my family's stable years ago. I believed he was dead." John Walker came to stand beside his son. "That's a strong accusation. My son bought that horse fair and square at the Billings Animal Auction not a month ago. For $1. There's no way that's a racehorse." $1? Silas Hawthorne almost smiled, but it was not a kind look. "That proves my point. He was lost. He was hidden. Look at him. Look at the lines of his neck, his legs. That is Midnight Sun. I would know him anywhere." "His name is Sonny," Caleb said again, his voice stronger. Silas looked at Caleb's parents. He spoke directly to them, ignoring the boy. "I do not wish to cause trouble for your family. I am a reasonable man. You have cared for him. I will pay you for your time. Name your price." John and Mary looked at each other. Caleb saw it, the flash of hope in his mother's eyes, the desperate calculation in his father's. "Our farm," John began, his voice rough. "We have debts." "Dad, no," Caleb whispered. "I can erase those debts," Silas said, his voice like quiet thunder. "I can write you a check today that will secure this land for your grandchildren, all for a horse you have owned for a few weeks." He's not just a horse. Caleb's shout surprised everyone, including himself. He turned to his parents. Mom, Dad, please. I brought him home. He was sick and he was scared and now he's okay. You don't sell a friend. You don't sell a life. His mother's eyes filled with tears. His father's shoulders slumped. Silas Hawthorne watched this family moment with no emotion on his face. I am offering you a future, security. This animal is a piece of my past. I intend to have him back. Caleb faced the rich man. He stood as straight as he could. The answer is no. Sonny is not for sale. He is home. For a long moment, Silas said nothing. The cool politeness drained from his eyes, leaving something flat and hard. He gave a single, slow nod. I see. He looked once more at Sonny, who was watching from the far side of the paddock, his ears pinned back. This is not over, young man. You have something of great value, and I always reclaim what is mine. He turned and walked back to his black truck. He did not look back. The engine started, and the truck moved back down the driveway, leaving a cloud of dust and a very quiet family behind. Caleb let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. His hand found the fence post to steady himself. From the paddock, Sonny walked over and pressed his warm forehead against Caleb's back. The dust from the black truck settled. No one on the porch moved. The only sound was Sonny's soft snort from the paddock. Caleb's father, John, was the first to speak. His voice was tired. A racehorse. He can't be, Caleb said, but the words felt weak. He remembered how Sonny moved, a smooth power that felt different from the plow horses. That man, Silas Hawthorne, he seemed very sure, Mary said. She wrapped her arms around herself. The money he offered, it was more than we've ever seen. We are not selling Sonny, Caleb said. He looked at his father, pleading. I know, son, John said. He rubbed his forehead. But a man like that doesn't drive out here for nothing. He doesn't make offers like that for a $1 horse. He believes it. What do we do? Mary asked. We do nothing, John said. He made an offer. We said no. This is our land. That's your horse. He said it firmly, but Caleb saw the worry in his eyes. For the rest of the day, the farm felt different. The air was heavy. Caleb tried to work, but he kept looking at the driveway. He kept looking at Sonny. That evening, Caleb was in the barn brushing Sonny. He used slow, long strokes. Sonny's eyes were half closed, peaceful. Who are you, huh? Caleb whispered. Are you really this midnight sun? At the sound of the name, Sonny's ear twitched. He turned his head to look at Caleb. A cold feeling went down Caleb's spine. He stopped brushing. He thought about what the man had said. Asterisk, a thoroughbred racehorse, a tattoo. Caleb had heard of that. All racehorses had a secret tattoo inside their lip for identification. He had never checked Sonny's mouth. He never needed to. His hands felt clumsy. He gently took Sonny's head in his hands. Let me see, buddy. Just let me look. Sonny trusted him. He let Caleb lift his upper lip. Caleb peered at the smooth pink skin. He saw nothing. He felt relieved for a second. Then he remembered. The tattoo wasn't always on the lip. For older horses, it could be somewhere else. Silas said it was from years ago. Where else would they put it? Caleb thought hard. He remembered an old rancher talking about it once. Asterisk. Sometimes they put it under the mane, hidden. With careful fingers, Caleb parted Sonny's thick, creamy white mane at the base of his neck. He looked at the skin underneath. At first, he saw only golden hair and pale skin. Then, he saw a small patch of black lines. His heart beat hard against his ribs. He pushed the mane aside more. There it was. A series of tiny, neat numbers and letters tattooed on the skin. It was faded but clear. Caleb's breath caught. He traced the numbers with his finger. They meant nothing to him, but they meant everything. They were proof. Silas Hawthorne was telling the truth about one thing. This horse had another name. Just then, the barn door creaked open. Caleb jumped, dropping the mane. His father stood in the doorway. Everything okay? Caleb didn't know what to say. He just nodded. John walked over. He saw the look on his son's face. What is it? Dad, Caleb's voice broke. He slowly pushed Sonny's mane aside again, revealing the hidden tattoo. John leaned close. He squinted at the small numbers. He let out a long, slow sigh. It was a sound of defeat, "Oh, Caleb." "It doesn't change anything," Caleb said quickly. "He's still Sonny. He's still my horse." "It changes everything," John said softly. "That man has proof now. Real proof. This isn't just a rich man's guess. This is a fact written on the horse himself." "What do we do?" Caleb asked, repeating his mother's question from earlier. Before his father could answer, the sound of a car engine cut through the quiet evening. It was not the black truck. This was a local sheriff's SUV, brown and dusty. It rolled up to the house. A man in a uniform got out, Sheriff Grady. He was a big man with a kind face, but he looked serious. John and Caleb walked out of the barn to meet him. "Evening, John, Caleb," Sheriff Grady said, tipping his hat. "Evening, Tom," John said. "What brings you out here?" The sheriff shifted his weight. "I had a visit today from a man named Silas Hawthorne. He filed a report. Says you're in possession of stolen property, a valuable racehorse he calls Midnight Sun. We bought that horse at a public auction," John said, his voice firm. "We have a bill of sale." "I believe you," Sheriff Grady said, holding up a hand. "I'm not here to take anything. But John, this man, he has lawyers. He has that tattoo ID. He has registration papers from the Jockey Club in New York. They show he is the listed owner of a horse named Midnight Sun, reported missing after a fire years ago." "So what does that mean?" Caleb asked, his throat tight. "It means there's going to be a legal process," the sheriff said. "He's going to file in court. He'll say the horse was stolen long ago, that it moved from hand to hand and ended up at an auction. He'll say your bill of sale is no good because the seller didn't really own him." He looked at Caleb with pity. "I'm sorry, son. The law might side with him. He has the paperwork." "The law is wrong," Caleb said, heat rising in his face. "Maybe," the sheriff said, "but it's the law. He's giving you one more chance to do the easy thing. He said his offer for the horse still stands. A lot of money. A clean solution." "And if we say no?" John asked. "Then you'll need a lawyer. You'll have to go to court, and from what I saw of his papers—" The sheriff didn't finish. He didn't need to. "Think about it. Talk it over as a family." Sheriff Grady got back in his SUV and drove away. The silence he left behind was worse than before. It was filled with the shape of a coming storm. Caleb looked at his father. He saw the struggle there, the need to protect the farm, to provide security, the need to protect his son. Without a word, Caleb turned and went back into the barn. He went straight to Sonny's stall. The horse met him at the door, nudging his chest. Caleb buried his face in Sonny's neck, in the mane that hid the secret. Sonny stood perfectly still, a solid, warm comfort. "It doesn't matter," Caleb whispered, his voice muffled. "You're Sonny. You're my horse. I won't let them take you." But for the first time, the words felt like a wish, not a promise. The world outside their barn had suddenly become very large and very powerful, and it wanted his friend back. Caleb did not sleep that night. He lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. The words of Sheriff Grady played over and over in his head. Asterisk, the law might side with him. When the first gray light of morning came through his window, he knew what he had to do. He had to find someone who knew the truth. He thought of the name the old ranchers sometimes mentioned when talking about the great horses of Montana, Ben McCullough. Ben lived alone on a patch of land near the foothills, running a small, run-down riding school. He was known as the best and the grumpiest horseman in the county. Caleb saddled their old mare, Daisy. He did not take Sonny. The less people saw of him right now, the better. The ride to Ben's place took over an hour. Ben's property was a clutter of old fencing, a sagging barn, and a small trailer. A few old horses grazed in a dusty paddock. Ben himself was sitting on an upturned bucket outside the barn, whittling a piece of wood with a pocket knife. He was old, his face a map of deep lines under a stained cowboy hat. He looked up as Caleb rode in, his green eyes sharp. "You're John Walker's boy," Ben said. It wasn't a question. "Yes, sir, Caleb. I heard you got yourself a fancy horse." Ben went back to his whittling. "Heard Silas Hawthorne came calling." News traveled fast. "Yes, sir. He says my horse is really his. He says his name is Midnight Sun." Ben's knife stopped moving. He looked up slowly. "Say that name again." "Midnight Sun." Ben was quiet for a long time. He closed his knife with a snap and stood up. "Get down. Show me this horse of yours." "He's back at our farm, but I found something." Caleb dismounted. His hands were shaking as he pulled a small piece of paper from his pocket. On it, he had carefully copied the numbers and letters from the tattoo under Sonny's mane. He handed it to Ben. Ben took the paper. He didn't even need to put on his glasses. His eyes scanned the code. All the hardness seemed to drain from his face, replaced by something sad and heavy. "Well, I'll be," he whispered. "He's alive." "You know him?" Caleb asked, hope and fear twisting in his chest. "I knew Asterisk of Asterisk him," Ben said. He walked toward his trailer, gesturing for Caleb to follow. Inside, it was cramped and smelled of coffee and leather. Ben pulled a dusty photo album from a shelf. He opened it to a page with a newspaper clipping. It showed a beautiful Palomino Colt shining under bright lights. The headline read, "Hawthorne's Midnight Sun, $1 million future." "That's him," Caleb breathed, looking at the young horse in the picture. He saw the same intelligent eyes. "That's him," Ben agreed. "Bred for speed, worth a fortune. Silas Hawthorne owned his mama, a champion mare named Evening Sky. He owned the colt too." Ben's voice turned rough. But Silas didn't love horses. He loved deals. He loved money. "What happened?" Caleb asked. "When the colt was just a yearling, Silas got an offer. A huge offer from a sheikh for Evening Sky, the mama. The money was too good to refuse. He sold her, shipped her overseas." Ben closed the album. The fire happened at the Hawthorne stables a week later. Some said it was faulty wiring. Some said it was a careless groom with a cigarette. But the truth was, the best hands had been let go after the sale. The place was running cheap. The fire spread fast. "Silas said Midnight Sun died in that fire," Caleb said. "That's what everyone believed," Ben said, nodding. "The barn was ashes. A few horses got out, ran off into the night. They were all assumed dead or lost. But this one," he tapped the paper with the tattoo numbers, "this one got farther than anyone thought." "So Silas isn't lying? The horse was stolen?" "No," Ben said sharply. "The horse Asterisk ran Asterisk. There's a difference. Silas's story is a clean, sad tale of a stolen treasure. The real story is uglier. It's about a man who sold the heart of his stable for cash, who cut corners, who let a tragedy happen. Losing Midnight Sun wasn't a theft, it was a consequence, and it shamed him. A public failure for a man who hates to fail." Ben looked straight at Caleb. Now he's found the living proof of that failure. Getting the horse back isn't about love or memory. It's about covering up an old mistake. It's about owning the thing that got away. Caleb tried to take all this in. "The sheriff says his legal papers are good. He might win in court." "He might," Ben grunted. "Paper beats people most days, but that don't make it right." He studied Caleb's face. "What does the horse do when Silas is near?" "He's scared," Caleb said immediately. "He hides behind me. His ears go back." "And with you?" "He's calm. He follows me. He listens." Ben nodded, as if this was the only proof that mattered. "The horse has voted, kid. He chose you. A horse like that with his history, he doesn't give his trust easy. You earned it. Silas never did." He walked to an old filing cabinet and dug through some folders. He pulled out a faded sheet of paper. It was a photocopy of an old veterinary record. "Here, this is from the local vet who worked on Hawthorne's horses. It notes the tattoo number for Midnight Sun. It also notes the sale and transport of the dam Evening Sky on a date before the fire." He handed it to Caleb. "It's not much, but it shows the timeline. It shows Silas was breaking up his stable before the fire even happened. He wasn't the caring owner he pretends to be." Caleb took the paper like it was gold. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Ben said. "Silas Hawthorne is a man who wins. He doesn't stop. You have something he wants to erase. That makes you a problem he needs to solve." "What should I do?" Caleb asked, his voice small in the cramped trailer. Ben put a rough hand on his shoulder. "You protect your horse, by any means necessary. You remember that the law isn't always justice. Sometimes justice is what you do to keep what's rightfully yours." Caleb rode home, the old vet paper folded safely in his pocket. Ben's words swirled with the sheriff's warning. He now had a piece of the truth, but he knew, deep down, that truth might not be enough against a man like Silas Hawthorne. He had to be ready for what came next. The next 2 days were a strange, quiet tension. Caleb moved through his chores, the vet paper from Ben a secret weight in his pocket. He watched the road. His parents spoke in low voices in the kitchen. On the third morning, the black truck returned. This time, a sheriff's SUV came with it. Caleb stood frozen by the barn door as the vehicle stopped. Silas Hawthorne stepped out, holding a leather folder. Sheriff Grady got out of his SUV, his face unreadable. Caleb's parents came out of the house. "Mr. and Mrs. Walker," Silas said, his voice all polite business. He opened the folder. "I have here a certified copy of the Jockey Club registration for the thoroughbred Midnight Sun. I also have a notarized affidavit from the Billings auction house. It states the seller had no bill of sale for the Palomino horse he offered. It was a mystery lot with no provenance." John Walker took the papers. He looked at them, then at the sheriff. "Tom?" Sheriff Grady sighed. "The paperwork looks legitimate, John. The court will likely issue an order to seize the animal as stolen property and return it to Mr. Hawthorne. I'm here to keep the peace while you two talk." "There's nothing to talk about," Caleb said, his hands clenched into fists. "Caleb," his mother said softly, a warning. Silas ignored Caleb, speaking only to his parents. "My offer is still open. In fact, I will increase it by 20%. Sign a simple bill of sale today. The money is yours. The legal problem disappears. You keep your farm. No court. No stress." Caleb saw his father's shoulders tense. He saw his mother's eyes dart to their old farmhouse, the roof that needed fixing. The sum Silas mentioned was a number that could erase every worry they'd ever had. "And if we don't sign?" John asked, his voice tired. "Then I will have no choice but to proceed with the seizure," Silas said calmly. "The sheriff will serve the court order when it arrives, likely in the next 48 hours. You will lose the horse, and you will receive no compensation." He paused, letting the threat sink in. "It is a simple business decision. Take the victory I am offering you." John looked at his wife. Mary's eyes were full of tears. She gave a tiny, almost invisible shake of her head. Not in refusal, but in helplessness. We need to discuss this as a family," John said, his voice thick. "Of course," Silas said, closing his folder. "I will be at the Grand Hotel in Billings until noon tomorrow. You have until then to bring me the signed paper." He nodded to the sheriff and got back into his truck. Sheriff Grady gave John a look of deep sympathy before following the black truck back down the driveway. The family stood in the yard, shattered. Caleb couldn't look at his parents. He turned and walked into the barn, to Sonny's stall. He didn't cry. He just leaned against Sonny, breathing in the smell of hay and horse. He heard his parents' voices from the kitchen window, carried on the still air. "We can't fight this, John," his mother was saying, her voice breaking. "He has the law. Even if we try, we'll lose. And we'll lose the farm paying for a lawyer we can't afford." "I know," his father replied, a sound of deep defeat. "But it will break Caleb's heart. It will break him." "Would it break him more than seeing us lose everything? Than being homeless?" Her sob was quiet but clear. "That money, it's a future. For all of us." Caleb closed his eyes. He loved his parents. He understood their fear. But the thought of leading Sonny to that black truck, of watching Silas Hawthorne take him away, it felt like a death. An hour later, Ben's old pickup truck rattled into the yard. The old man got out and found Caleb in the barn without a word. "Heard he was back," Ben said, "with the sheriff. They're going to take him tomorrow," Caleb said, the words flat. Ben was quiet for a moment. "What are you going to do?" "What can I do?" Caleb whispered. "You can stand your ground," Ben said. "Or you can find new ground." He pulled a folded piece of paper from his jacket. It was a hand-drawn map. "My place backs up to the National Forest. There are old trails here, and here. Trails only the deer and the old-timers know. They go deep into the mountains. A man on a good horse could disappear for a long time." Caleb stared at the map. "Run away?" "Buy time," Ben corrected. "The law moves slow. If the horse isn't here to seize, what can they do? It forces Silas's hand. It might make him show his true colors. It gives you time to think." The idea was huge and terrifying, but the alternative was certain. That night, after a silent dinner, Caleb went to his room. He packed a small backpack, a blanket, a water bottle, jerky and apples, the map, the vet paper from Ben, his pocket knife. When the house was dark and quiet, he crept downstairs. He left a note on the kitchen table. Asterisk Mom, Dad, I am so sorry. I can't be here when they come. I have to protect Sonny. I will be safe. Don't worry. I love you. Caleb. He slipped out the back door. The night was cool and huge, filled with stars. He went to the barn. Sonny was awake, alert, as if he'd been waiting. "Hey, buddy," Caleb whispered, fitting the bridle and saddle. "We're going for a ride, a long one." Sonny stood patiently, trusting him completely. As Caleb led him out of the barn, a figure stepped from the shadows. Ben. He held out a small bag of oats and a thicker horse blanket. "For the cold nights," he grunted. "Stay off the main trails. Head for the high country." "Thank you, Ben," Caleb said, his throat tight. "Go on now. And remember," the old man said, his hand briefly on Sonny's neck. "You're not running away asterisk. You're running for something." Caleb nodded. He swung up into the saddle. With one last look at the dark farmhouse, he turned Sonny toward the black line of the mountains. They moved from the soft dirt of the yard onto the harder ground of the field, heading west, leaving the only home Caleb had ever known behind them. The night swallowed them whole. The night ride felt endless. Caleb trusted Sonny to find the path in the dark, following Ben's map toward the national forest. When the sky began to lighten from black to gray, they were deep in the woods, far from any road. Caleb found a small clearing near a stream. He slid off Sonny's back, his legs stiff. He let Sonny drink, then tied the lead rope loosely to a tree so the horse could graze on the grass. He spread his blanket on the ground and ate some jerky. The forest was very quiet. "We made it through the first night," Caleb said to Sonny. The horse looked at him, chewing. "Just you and me now." For 3 days, they traveled like this. They moved in the cool mornings and evenings, resting during the warmest part of the day. Caleb followed the old trails on Ben's map. They were narrow and often overgrown. He talked to Sonny constantly about nothing and everything. The horse's ears were always turned toward Caleb's voice, a steady point in the wilderness. The world became simple. Find water, find grass for Sonny, find a safe place to sleep. The huge mountains around them were both beautiful and frightening. On the 4th morning, Caleb heard a new sound. It was a low buzz like a giant insect. He looked up, shielding his eyes from the sun. A small black drone flew high above the trees, moving in a slow, careful pattern. His heart jumped into his throat. He pulled Sonny quickly under the thick branches of a pine tree. "Stay still, boy. Stay very still." They waited. The drone buzzed back and forth above the clearing they had just left. Then it turned and flew away in the direction they had come from. Caleb's hands were shaking. "They're looking for us," he whispered. "They're using machines to look." The simple piece of the journey was broken. Now, every open space felt like a trap. Every strange sound could be an engine. That night, they camped in a rocky area. Caleb built a small, hidden fire to heat a can of beans. He was so tired. The fear of being found sat on his chest like a weight. A sharp cry pierced the darkness. It was not a bird. It was the scream of a mountain lion. Sonny's head shot up. He snorted, his eyes wide. Caleb stood up, his can of beans falling into the dirt. The cry came again, closer this time. Caleb could see 2 points of light reflecting his fire, the eyes of a big cat watching from the rocks above them. He had no weapon. He felt frozen. Sonny moved. The horse stepped forward, placing his own body squarely between Caleb and the glowing eyes. Sonny lowered his head. He stamped his front hoof hard on the rocky ground. Asterisk bang, asterisk. Then he did it again. Asterisk bang, asterisk. He snorted loudly, a fierce, blowing sound. He pawed at the ground, making himself look big. The mountain lion stared. It made a low, rumbling growl. Sonny did not back down. He took another step forward, stamping and snorting. He shook his mane, his golden coat shining in the firelight. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, the twin points of light vanished. They heard a soft rustle in the rocks as the lion slipped away into the deeper darkness. Caleb let out a shuddering breath. He walked to Sonny and threw his arms around the horse's strong neck. He pressed his face against him. Sonny's skin was warm and trembling, but he stood firm. "You protected me," Caleb whispered, his voice choked. "You brave, brave thing." Sonny turned his head and nudged Caleb's back as if to say, "Asterisk, of course." From that moment, something changed. It was not just a boy taking care of a horse anymore. They were a team. They were partners. Caleb realized Sonny was not just following him for safety. Sonny was watching out for him too. The next day, they saw the drone twice more. They heard the distant thump of a helicopter once, but it was far away. The chase was real, but the wilderness was vast. Caleb learned to move only under tree cover. He learned to hide at the sound of any engine. One evening, as they drank from a cold, clear stream, Caleb looked at his friend. Sonny's coat was dusty, but he was strong. His eyes were calm and alert. "We can do this," Caleb said, filling his water bottle. "We can stay ahead of them. We just have to be smarter. We just have to keep going." Sonny dipped his head to the water, then looked back at Caleb. He blew out a soft breath, his nose almost touching Caleb's arm. They were tired, they were dirty, but they were together. And in the silence of the mountains, that felt like enough, for now. The mountains of Montana were vast and quiet. In a tall glass building in Chicago, the silence was of a different kind. It was the silence of expensive carpets and air conditioning. Silas Hawthorne stood at his office window, looking out at the city lights. His face was a hard mask. On his desk, a tablet showed a map of the wilderness near Billings. Small red dots marked the last known drone sightings. All of them were empty. No boy, no horse. His head of security, a man named Royce, stood waiting. Royce was big and had a shaved head. He spoke in a flat voice. "The forest is dense. The drones have limited range. The boy is sticking to old game trails under tree cover. He's smarter than we thought." "He is a farm boy with a horse," Silas said, not turning around. "He is not smarter than your technology. He is luckier. Make his luck run out. We're doing our best, sir. We have men on the ground in four-wheel drives, but some of those trails—" "I do not pay for butts," Silas interrupted, his voice cold. "I pay for results. The court order is meaningless if they cannot find the asset. Find him." Royce nodded once. "Yes, sir." He left the office, closing the door softly. Silas remained at the window. His reflection in the glass showed a man in control, but inside, an old panic was stirring. This was not just about fixing the past anymore. This was about the future, a future that depended entirely on that horse. He walked to a large safe in the wall. He dialed the combination and opened it. Inside were not stacks of money, but files. Old, leather-bound files from his early days in the horse business. He had avoided them for years. He pulled out a thick folder labeled Evening Sky Midnight Sun Breeding. He carried it to his desk and sat down. He began to read, page after page of contracts, veterinary reports, and registration papers. Most of it he knew. The sale of Evening Sky, the fire, the insurance payout. He flipped past those pages, his jaw tight. Then he found it. A single sheet of paper stapled to the back of the main contract. It was an addendum, a side agreement he had almost forgotten. His eyes scanned the dense legal language, his breath caught. His hands, which never shook, trembled slightly. The addendum was about breeding rights. It was common in the business. When he sold Evening Sky, he had kept a share of her future breeding value, a percentage of the money earned from any foals she produced. But there was a clause, a special clause. Because Evening Sky was a champion and her first foal, Midnight Sun, was a champion sire prospect, the contract had a key offspring clause. The language was complex, but the meaning was simple. Full control of the breeding syndicate for Evening Sky's bloodline would pass, irrevocably, to the owner of her first living, verified offspring. If that offspring was ever certified as alive after being declared dead. Silas read it twice. His heart beat a hard rhythm against his ribs. Midnight Sun had been declared dead after the fire. The breeding syndicate had been in limbo for years, controlled by lawyers and old partners. But if Midnight Sun was found to be alive, and if Silas was his legal owner, then control of everything, the millions of dollars in breeding fees, the shares, the entire genetic legacy, would snap back to him. Instantly. It was a fortune. If someone else owned the horse, that control would go to them. It would slip through his fingers forever. This was no longer about shame. This was about power. This was about money. A staggering amount of money. He picked up his phone. His voice was low and urgent when Royce answered. Change of priority. Sir? The boy is no longer just an obstacle. The horse is no longer just a recovery. This is now the single most important asset of my company. Do you understand? Royce was silent for a beat. I understand the priority, sir. I want every resource available. More men, more drones, hire local trackers, charter helicopters. I do not care about the cost. I want that horse found and brought to me. The boy, handle him. Gently if you can, but handle him. The horse must be secured at any cost. At any cost, Royce repeated. Yes, whatever you must do. Just get me that horse. Silas ended the call. He looked down at the old addendum. The ghost of a horse he thought was Ash was now the key to a kingdom, and a lonely boy in the mountains was standing in the way. He had tried to be polite. He had tried to use the law. Now the stakes were too high for politeness. The wilderness was big, but his will was bigger. He would burn every dollar he had to find them. This was no longer a pursuit. It was a war. The sound of the drones had become a constant part of their days, an angry buzz in the distance. Caleb and Sonny moved higher into the mountains, where the air was thin and cold. They were both tired. Their food was almost gone. For 2 days they had heard nothing. No drones, no helicopters. The silence felt more frightening than the noise had been. "This feels wrong," Caleb said to Sonny as they picked their way along a narrow trail. The trees were thinner here, replaced by big rocks and open sky. "It's too quiet." Sonny's ears flicked back and forth, listening. He walked with careful steps, his head held high. The trail led them up to a wide, flat ledge of rock. On one side was the mountain wall. On the other side, the ground dropped away into nothing, a cliff that looked down over a valley far, far below. The view was huge and empty. Caleb stopped. They could not go forward. The trail ended here. They would have to go back the way they came. He turned Sonny around. As he did, he saw movement below. Men. 3 men in dark jackets were coming up the trail toward them. They moved quickly. Caleb's heart slammed against his ribs. He looked the other way. 2 more men were coming from the opposite direction, blocking the only other path off the ledge. They were trapped. Sonny sensed the danger. He let out a nervous snort, backing up until his hind legs were dangerously close to the cliff edge. The men reached the ledge. They spread out. They were not police. They wore no badges. They looked strong and serious. One of them, a man with a shaved head, stepped forward. This was Royce. "All right, son," Royce said, his voice calm but firm. "It's over. No one wants to get hurt. Just get down from the horse." Caleb shook his head. He held the reins tight. "Stay back." "You're not in trouble," Royce said, taking another step. "Mr. Hawthorne just wants his property. You can walk away from this." "He's not property," Caleb yelled. His voice sounded small against the vast sky. Royce nodded to one of the other men. The man moved quickly, lunging to grab Sonny's bridle. Sonny reacted. He reared up on his back legs with a loud scream, his front hooves cutting the air. The man jumped back, falling to the ground. "Whoa, easy, Sonny, easy," Caleb cried, holding on. He stroked the horse's sweating neck. "It's okay, I'm here." The sound of a helicopter suddenly filled the air. It came over the ridge, a dark machine that blew dust and grit everywhere. It landed on the far end of the rocky ledge. The door opened. Silas Hawthorne stepped out. The wind from the blades whipped his silver hair. He walked toward them, his expensive shoes crunching on the stone. He did not look at the men. He looked only at the horse. He stopped a few feet away. His eyes went from Sonny's frightened face to Caleb's determined one. "You have led us on quite a chase, young man," Silas said. His voice was loud over the fading chop of the helicopter blades. "Leave us alone," Caleb said. "I cannot," Silas replied. "This ends now. You are out of options. You are out of space. Get off the horse and hand him over." "No," Silas sighed as if dealing with a stubborn child. "Look around you. There are 5 men here. You are one boy. There is a cliff behind you. You have nowhere to go. This is not a game. This is business. Give me the horse." Caleb looked at the men. They were closer now. He looked at the cliff edge. It was a long, long drop. He felt Sonny's sides heaving with quick breaths beneath him. He felt the horse's trust and his fear. He thought of his parents. He thought of Ben. He thought of the first day he saw Sonny at the auction, a broken thing no one wanted. He made his choice. Caleb leaned forward, putting his mouth close to Sonny's ear. His voice was a whisper, only for the horse. "Whatever happens, I'm with you. I'm right here." He straightened up and looked at Silas Hawthorne. His own voice was clear and steady when he spoke. "You can have him," Caleb said, "but you have to come and get him." He nudged Sonny with his heels, turning the horse so its side faced the cliff. There was no more room to back up. The very back of Sonny's hind hooves were on the edge. Loose pebbles trickled over the side, falling silently into the vast space below. One push, one sudden move, and they would both go over. Silas's calm mask finally broke. His eyes widened. "Don't be a fool." "I'm not a fool," Caleb said. "I just know what he's worth, and I know what you think he's worth. They're not the same thing." He held the reins loosely. He looked at the drop behind him, then back at Silas. His message was clear. He would rather let it all end here than let Silas win. The cliff edge was not a trap. It was the only card he had left to play. For a long moment, the only sound was the wind whipping across the cliff edge. Silas Hawthorne stared at Caleb, his face pale. The security men froze, unsure what to do. "You wouldn't," Silas said, but his voice lacked its usual certainty. "Try me," Caleb said. His hands were steady on the reins. Sonny stood perfectly still, trusting him even here. Silas took a careful step forward. "This is insane. That horse is worth more than you can imagine." "I know exactly what he's worth," Caleb shot back. His voice grew louder, meant for everyone to hear. "He's worth a kind word. He's worth an apple. He's worth patience. You don't know any of that. You never did." "You know nothing about me," Silas hissed. "I know you sold his mother," Caleb's shout echoed off the rocks. "I know you sold Evening Sky for a pile of cash and then cut corners. I know the fire happened because you let the best people go. You didn't protect your horses, you cashed them in." Silas's eyes darted toward his men. He saw them listening. "That is a lie. The fire was a tragedy." "It was a consequence," Caleb said. He was angry now, and the anger made him brave. "Ben McCullough told me. He has the vet records. You sold her a week before the fire. You were already breaking up the stable. Midnight Sun didn't get stolen. He ran from the fire you let happen." One of the security men, Royce, spoke up. His voice was low. "Is that true, sir?" "He is a child telling stories," Silas snapped, but a vein throbbed in his temple. "Then why do you want him so bad?" Caleb continued. He pointed a finger at Silas. "It's not because you love him. It's not even to fix your old shame. It's for more money. Ben figured it out. It's about a paper, right? A breeding rights paper. If you have the living horse, you get control of everything. It's all about a deal. It was always about a deal." The men looked at each other. They were hired to recover property, not to participate in this. Silas's composure shattered. "He is my property. Legally. This emotional nonsense does not change the law." "You keep talking about the law," Caleb said. He shifted in the saddle, and for a terrifying second, Sonny shifted his weight near the edge. The men gasped. Caleb steadied the horse, his eyes never leaving Silas. "The law says you can own a life. My heart says different. Sonny's heart says different. He chose me. He's scared of you. You can own the paper, Mr. Hawthorne, but you will never own him. With his free hand, Caleb reached into his jacket. He pulled out the folded, dirty vet record Ben had given him. He held it up. "This is the truth. It shows the sale date. It shows the timeline. It shows you were moving on before the fire even started. You want him for another piece of paper. I want him because he's my friend." He didn't throw it. He simply held it there, a tiny white flag of truth against the big sky. Royce stepped forward. He didn't look at Caleb. He looked at Silas. "Sir, the mission parameters have changed. You said recover the asset. You didn't say anything about a boy jumping off a cliff, or about old lies." "You work for me," Silas said, his voice trembling with rage. "I signed up to handle security," Royce said, his voice firm. "Not this. This is wrong." He turned and looked at the other men. One by one, they took a step back. They lowered their hands. The fight was gone from them. Silas was alone. He stood in his perfect suit, surrounded by men who now saw him clearly. He looked at Caleb, sitting tall on the golden horse. He looked at the proof in the boy's hand. He looked at the sheer drop behind them. All his money, all his power. It meant nothing here on this rock. A terrible defeat settled on his shoulders. He had lost. Not in a court of law, but in front of 5 hired men and a boy. He had been unmasked. Without another word, Silas Hawthorne turned. He walked stiffly back to the waiting helicopter. He did not look back. The door closed. The engine roared. and the machine lifted off the ledge, blowing dust over everyone. It flew away, getting smaller and smaller until it was just a speck in the sky, and then it was gone. Caleb slowly lowered the paper. He took a deep, shuddering breath. He leaned forward and wrapped his arms around Sonny's neck, burying his face in the warm gold coat. He was shaking all over. Royce walked closer, but slowly, with his hands visible. "Son, you can come away from the edge now. It's over." Caleb nodded. He gently nudged Sonny, and the horse took 2 careful steps forward, away from the cliff and into the safety of the wide ledge. The men made a path for them. "You're free to go," Royce said. He almost smiled. "You've got a good horse, and you've got a strong heart." Caleb just nodded, too full of emotion to speak. He turned Sonny's head toward the trail that led down the mountain toward home. The ride down from the mountain took 2 days. Caleb and Sonny were slow and tired, but the fear was gone. The open sky felt friendly again. When they finally turned onto the long dirt driveway of the farm, it was late afternoon. His mother was the first to see them. She was hanging laundry on the line. She dropped the shirt in her hands and put a hand over her mouth. Then she shouted, "John! John! He's home!" His father ran out of the barn. Both of them stood frozen for a second, and then they were running toward him. Caleb slid down from Sonny's back. His legs were stiff. His mother reached him first, pulling him into a hug so tight he could barely breathe. She was crying. His father wrapped his arms around both of them, his face pressed into Caleb's dirty hair. "You're okay," his mother kept saying. "You're really okay." "We saw the helicopter leave on the news," his father said, his voice rough. "They said there was a situation in the national forest. We were so scared." "I'm sorry," Caleb whispered into his mother's shoulder. "I'm so sorry for leaving." "You have nothing to be sorry for," his father said, pulling back to look at him. His eyes were shiny. "You were brave. You protected your friend." They all turned to look at Sonny. The horse stood patiently, his coat dusty but his eyes bright. Caleb's father walked over and placed a firm, gentle hand on Sonny's neck. "Welcome home, son," he said to the horse. Later, after Caleb had a long shower and a hot meal, they sat on the porch. Caleb told them everything: the mountain lion, the drones, the cliff, the words he said to Silas Hawthorne. He had just finished when an old pickup truck rattled into the yard. Ben McCullough got out. He walked up to the porch, his eyes going straight to Sonny, who was grazing peacefully in the paddock. "Took your time getting back," Ben grunted, but there was a smile in his eyes. "Heard you gave Silas Hawthorne a front row seat to his own conscience," Ben said, sitting on the porch step. "That story's all over the county. People are talking. They're saying a boy with a $1 horse stood down a billionaire." Caleb shrugged. "I just told the truth. That's all it ever takes," Ben said. "Most folks are just too scared to say it." He looked out at the fields. "He's gone, you know. Back to Chicago. His lawyers are withdrawing all the claims. Seems he's lost his appetite for a fight." The next morning, Sheriff Grady's SUV pulled up. Caleb felt a flicker of old fear, but the sheriff's face was calm. He tipped his hat to Caleb's parents. "Morning, folks. Caleb." He leaned against his vehicle. "I came to give you an update. The legal petition from Mr. Hawthorne has been formally dropped. With the withdrawal of that claim and with your original bill of sale from the auction, there's no contest. That horse is legally yours, Caleb, free and clear." The relief was a physical thing, a weight lifting off the whole family. "There's something else," the sheriff said, a little awkwardly. "After that story got out, well, a lot of people around here weren't too happy with how it all went down. Some of the local business folks, the ranch owners, they got together. They set up a fund to help with your farm's debts. Seems they believe in rewarding loyalty and good sense." Caleb's parents were speechless. His mother started crying again, but this time they were happy tears. Life on the farm began again, but it was different. The quiet stress was gone. The future felt wide open. Every morning just after sunrise, Caleb would saddle Sonny. They would ride out past the wheat fields, up to the hill that looked over their land. Caleb didn't push him to run. They walked, or sometimes they just stood there, looking at the world. One such morning, Caleb sat on Sonny's back, watching the mist rise from the creek. He thought of the auction, of the scared, thin animal who wouldn't lift his head. He thought of the long nights in the mountains, He leaned forward and patted Sonny's strong neck. "We made it, buddy." Sonny flicked an ear back, listening. He took a slow, content step forward, ready for whatever the day would bring. They were home. They were safe. They were a family. And under the big Montana sky, that was all that mattered.